Hi, my name is Lona Muthamia Uchido, and I'm making it one of my life's mission to demystify the speech therapy field and to empower more parents on what they can start to do in order to optimize their child's communication outcomes. So whether you want your child to talk more or talk better, learn better, and overall optimize their potential. So stay tuned and feel free to send in any topics on speech and language development you'd like for me to tackle. Welcome to this episode of My Opinion About series, and today's topic is the autism diet. A little controversial, but here's my opinion. What is the autism diet? It's one of many alternative treatments for children with autism. The autism diet is a restricted diet made up of no gluten, dairy, which is also referred to as casein, and sugar. Now, the third item there, sugar, I don't really have a problem with it. Sugar doesn't benefit any of us, particularly processed sugar. So if you decide to restrict that for your child, absolutely no problem with that. It actually will reduce hyperactivity and all that. But the idea behind the autism diet is that children with autism may be allergic or sensitive to food products containing gluten and casein, which some sources claim when ingested they cause the brain to treat them like chemicals and cause the child to act in certain ways. You know, they can be more hyperactive, they can be unsettled or difficult to engage. So the casein is usually what is contained in dairy products. So it's your milk, your cheeses, your soft cheeses, your yogurt, etc. Some research has given merit to this thinking, and some studies have even shown that some children suspected to have autism showed unusual levels of peptides in their bodily fluids that could be as a result of the gluten or the casein. But one could argue this either way. Is it the autism that is causing the intolerance, or is it the intolerance that is causing the autism? I'm not going to get into that. All in all, though, the effectiveness of a gluten-free, casein-free diet for autism or for people with autism has not been supported by medical research. Basically, there's lack of scientific evidence to confirm whether this diet can be helpful or not. Now, what do I think of the autism diet? This is what I say to parents. Know why you are restricting your child's diet. I mean, I get it. I would want to try something that I felt, could make a difference in my child's behavior or language skills. But know why you are restricting your child's diet. What identifiable benefits have you noted as a result? And if there are any, can you determine what exactly is causing the change? And if you don't know for sure, then the diet is probably not for your child. Maybe for another child that might have those specific allergies or insensitivities, but doesn't necessarily mean yours does. You need to apply more research skills. This is what I always say to parents, and this is what I mean. If you restrict everything at the same time and then you see a change, what would you equate that change to? Was it the reduced gluten? Was it the reduced casein or dairy? Was it the sugar? For all you know, it could actually just be the sugar, and yet you're restricting the casein and the gluten for your child as well. So I say to parents, just go about it as if you are doing research, a scientific research. So on one day, if you decide, yes, I want to try this for my child, and by all means try it if it makes you feel that you've done everything you could, or at least you're doing everything that you could for your child. So yes, so on one day decide we are going to just cut out the gluten. Now the gluten is your wheat, your barley, your rye. For a lot of us here in Kenya, it's mostly the wheat. So the chapatis, the mandazis, the bread, white and brown, the pizza, the cakes, the biscuits, that's all wheat, yeah? And also sugar as well. So you say, we're gonna just cut out the wheat for this week, yeah? So, but leave the milk, leave the yogurt, leave the sugar that is, like additional, not, you probably, if you're already cutting out the bread, it's gonna, gonna cut out a bit of the sugar as well. And then document, write down what have you noticed is a change as a result of the gluten being reduced in your child's diet. If on one day, say there was something extraordinary that happened, perhaps it has been quite stable with the lack of gluten, and then on one particular day there was a spike in behavior, either hyperactivity, and and maybe that is the day that there happened to be a party in the house. And I mean, note down those extraneous, variables as well. And then there, at the end of your week, you have the data for what changes you saw as a result of the diet being, the gluten being restricted. So the following week, put everything back on. Maybe give your child 3 days to just, for their body to acclimatize to all the additional aspect of their diet, and then restrict one other thing. So this time restrict the milk, and make sure you restrict, all forms of milk, whether it's, in a food or just plain by itself. Just make sure you restrict. So your child can't have pizza, even if it's a gluten-free pizza, because it has the cheese, unless you don't have the cheese on it. And then do the same thing, repeat, yeah? So document what changes did you notice? And then after that week, pull back everything, and then I'll just restrict sugar. Now, sugar is usually in hidden places. I said white bread has a lot of sugar. I know some of the brands of bread in the supermarket are quite sugary. Like, I would eat a bread, I'm like, oh my goodness, am I eating cake or am I eating bread? So make sure you reduce sugar. You're not adding sugar to the child's porridge. You're just doing the natural yogurt, so the sugar's been reduced. Which, by the way, I have to add, if you reduce sugar and nothing else, I don't think there's actually a problem. As long as your child's having their fructose, so sugar from the fruit, that is fine. And then document, and then work out, do I have a valid reason for why I have chosen to restrict my child's diet? So if you feel like you have a valid reason, then go with it. If you feel like you don't have a valid reason, then it is important that you accept that this is probably not for your child. So the insensitivity or the insensitivity or the allergy is not really something that your child is experiencing. And so, as I said, the diet is just one of many alternative treatments for autism, but there's definitely a lot more. I see children sometimes who are eating virtually nothing, They're just having one kind of fruit, maybe I think it's apple, and I wonder even what happened, what's the sugar, what's the fruit, why is the fruit involved as well? And I'm told it's part of it. So there's very many augmentations to this so-called gluten-free, casein-free autism diet, and I feel you need to know why it is you're limiting something. Your child needs a whole array of foods to be able to get their nutrition, and so if you're limiting whole food groups, that is definitely going to have an impact on their development, on their nourishment as well. So be careful about that, know why, and then decide, yes, that makes sense. And if you do choose to limit something like the casein, so the dairy products, also make sure that you attend to your child's other needs, calcium needs. So they have growing bones, they need to have calcium. So if you're not giving them any milk whatsoever or any milk products, be sure to talk to somebody that will help supplement the calcium needs. So calcium tablets, usually I think you can get them from the pharmacy. So that is my opinion on the autism diet. So there you have it. Please check out some of our other resources to learn more about any of the new topics that this series has raised for you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time.